Okay, so this is my Greenskins army. This match is going to be Greenskins versus the Empire. I think a pretty classical match in the lore as well. My opponent is a dude we have had quite the rivalry. This is probably like our 6th or 7th game. So we kind of understand our style here. Let's take a look at what we got here. I've got the Orc Cavalry. This is a very, this is, I think, the best cavalry the Orcs can have. It's obviously for anti-large. I have a monster, a giant monster that I figured after a lot of tweaking with my Greenskin army, I know that I needed this spider to take care of some of the riffraff armor piercing damage, and also as an anti-large. So that's all the anti-large I have, period. Black Orcs, they are not as good as those Regiment of Renown ones, those Crimson Killers that you guys remember in the other video, but heavy anti-armor piercing units for me. Staggered formation as usual. My lord is Wurzag, or how the fuck to pronounce his name, and I put him in a mount so no one can chase him, and he is a spellcaster, and he's going to cast the Foot of Gork, which is this massive explosion. It's going to be very satisfying. I've got goblins all the way in the front lines. Goblins are, as you see, expendable. That's it. And they're shielded. But anyways. The Orc Biggins, they're armored, they're a damage dealing unit. Idea, try to get them in an area where they can do a lot of damage, not take a lot of damage. I have some missile infantry, just in case. You know, there's like an eagle or something crazy coming up against me. Okay. And that's it. So, I've got some very strong Black Orcs on both sides of my flanks. Goblins all the way in the front, expendable units. And I've got damage-dealing units all the way in the second row infantry, along with some archers. And of course, a good anti-large flank coming up. Let's go take a look at the Empire. I've never fought an Empire fight just quite like this. So take a look. Just look at all these icons. These are all fanaticals. These flagellants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them. So these sons of bitches are unbreakable. So no matter what happens, how many losses they take, they will not rout. They are gonna hold, and that is, man, that's tough. I didn't know that. I didn't even know that such a unit exists. I learned all about that later on. Great swords are some of his most highly prized anti-infantry units, armor piercing. He's taken the high ground of this entire fight. He has cannons over here, and he has a motor. I love motors. I used to use them all the time from Napoleon. So I'm a big fan of what he's about to unleash on my units. So those units are great swords coming up here, and now what's interesting here is he's got this trio here. A melee specialist, another melee specialist, and then Karl France. There's quite a few memes about this dude. And this bright wizard, which you would think from afar he doesn't look that intimidating. Up close and personal he looks terrifying, but really from over here, when you have no idea what the heck his units can do, can't be that bad, right? Let's see what happens as this match begins. The idea, of course, get to him as soon as possible, because the second I notice those cannons, it's game over. So here we go. So almost immediately, we're about to be in range of his cannons and his motors. Motors and cannons is my imagination here. And he's going to target my most heavily armored units. So I'm just trying my best to get to them as fast as I can with all my infantry. It's as fast as these orcs move. They're faster than Tomb King at least, right? But for a while, you're gonna get hurt. You're gonna get hurt very bad. You're just gonna have to take it. You gotta close this infantry gap that you have as fast as you can. That's what these guys are for. Coming in. That's what flank units do. We're spread out for another reason, so that one stray shot can't, you know, inadvertently hit another unit right next to him. Here he is, getting his flagellants, whatever, to come meet all my units now. So I don't really want to engage in these guys. I need to take those cannons out. So I'm saving some of my units here. This is the foot of Gork, by the way. Let's take a look what it looks like in action. It is a explosive move. It costs almost all the mana I have, but its entire purpose is to just devastate a single unit. So we've got the spider, we've got night goblins, and we've got black orcs to devastate the section here. Cavalry is going to try to come in and take out these units over here. I decided to get a rush in the back. So we've got all the engagements you can imagine right now. Take a look at what happens here. This is what the bright wizard can do. It can absolutely devastate my units, as it just does. You see that line that I just made over there? That line is no good. So try not to get engagements. The lesson here learned is do not get your army in a line when you're engaged with the enemy, or that bright wizard is just going to start devastating. So the cavalry is coming in, trying to wreak some havoc. It's at least stopping his cannons from doing what it does. As you can imagine, the flagellants are not very interested. They don't have a lot of melee defense, so they take a lot of hits. So black orcs and units like that are just going to start massacring these units. So I have my infantry in various engagements over here, trying to take out some of these units. His bright wizard cast another devastating. That damage, man. These are my best infantry units right there. So to be able to do that to my units, man, it hurts bad. Okay, that's not cool. So going in for the back charge, trying to engage and crush all his infantry units. I realize that my cavalry up here might need some help. See, I have some units that are not being utilized very well, like these orc biggins over here. You can see that my cavalry isn't quite as effective as I want it to be. Now here's interesting. Just like the war sphinx of the Egyptians, or sorry, the Tomb Kings, I don't control how it shoots or where it shoots. But what's interesting is when it gets a melee attack, it stops that shooting. So his three musketeers over here are something I greatly misunderstand. It's going to cost me very soon. So you guys have still been tied up, because remember, it's not just, they're not going to rout. I don't think there's 7 units, they're not going to rout. So flagellants, great swords are keeping all of these guys occupied. Meanwhile, I've won every single engagement outside of that area. We're going to start running into the final section here. He's coming in to kill my monster. My monster is not a very good against lords. It's good against multiple units. Let's speed up a little bit. So he cast another flaming skull against my orc biggins here. That's the bright wizard doing all that damage. Just wreaking havoc against my guys, man. Totally underestimated that unit. So now you can see I have all of my fights, different engagements. One, what I should have done is just rush the middle and try to take out his remaining units, which are not much. Okay. Here he is trying to secretly go back and get his cannons again. It's a terrible thing to do. Speed up time just a little bit more. Once these guys are here fighting. My lord is in an engagement with two melee specialists, and then Karl Franz, who's not a joke. He's probably one of the best lords you can end up fighting. So he's taking a lot of damage. I've got to run the hell away. I've got to stop taking the siege. Artillery and mounting again. Everything's mine. I'm coming for this guy. Let's kill the last of his legends, and this is gonna have what, 3 heroes left. How bad could that possibly be? Speed up time a little bit. So what we have here is a death pit. My opponent, this guy and I, we often have death pits where we just sit and we just fight constantly like this. Now what's really interesting is look at Karl Franz's life. I'm trying to go after his lord. Kill the lord, the morale of everybody else goes along with it, right? That's the lesson I'll teach you. What they didn't teach me is there are other units besides lords that are important here. So you have Felix and you have Gotrek. Now one of these clowns, I think it's Felix, has a spell that constantly heals Karl Franz. And you will see how annoying it is. Speed up time, because this is just a mosh pit here. But look at Karl Franz's life. I wish we could focus on just him. We're down to 24 of his units, you know? Not much. And I have 300 plus units. What I'm not doing effectively is focusing on his healer that I didn't notice he has. So, if you think you're gonna kill Karl Franz, do ya? Do ya? Down to 900 life. Surely he's gonna die, right? He's not breaking, that's for sure. Coming in, fighting me every unit I have. Look at that man. This guy just keeps on healing. I was shocked, okay? I had no idea these type of things exist. Back. Hard to kill someone that keeps healing. And who's healing him? That guy, who I've barely even touched. I come in, charge and charge and charge with all my units that I have remaining. My guys don't heal, they just sit and get hurt. I realize it's better to get my monster outside and not let him take all the damage and let him use his melee. Look at that man, this guy. So he's down to 600 life, you're like, oh wow, surely he's gonna die now, right? Surely he's gonna die. Oh no, there he is. Plus another 100. So what I'm not paying attention to here is the health of my own wizard, my own lord. You can see here, my own lord dies. The leadership penalty is too great, and every single unit routes instantaneously. So man, what a terrible idea to get my lord involved in this death pit. I should have just separated him the whole time. So those are his cannon damages over there. Respectable, but luckily not as bad as we wanted him to be. His great swords, his best units, his best infantry units. So that 86 kills, I'm guessing he fought some goblins or something. His flagelants, man, God, those annoying bastards. Remember, I had to kill every single one of those units. Every single one of those units had to die before we could get past him. And his his two heroes, Gortrek and Felix, man, they did a lot of damage, but nothing as bad as you saw with his flame spells, those flaming skull spells. That right there, man. I should have seen that, identified he was by himself, because you saw he was on the hill on his own constantly, and there's nothing I did about it. On my end, it's quite spread out in terms of the kills, and that's kind of how I like to have my units. I don't like having one or two units doing all the work. So Orc Biggins can do a lot of damage, but so can my Black Orcs. My Spider does plenty of kills, so does my Cavalry. That's what I want. That 84, I bet you a lot of it is probably from the Foot of Gork. So man, this was a heartbreaking loss because I felt I had him. I felt I had the better infantry. I felt I maneuvered. I took out his siege. I felt um, I ruined his small advantages. But really, what I didn't realize is these flagellants are just there to stall for his Bright Wizard to come in and devastate my line of units. And then finally, not recognizing that one of his units there can constantly heal his Lord and keep him alive, several hundred HP, focusing on the wrong enemy is bad. So, as usual, it always comes down to understand your foe, but in this case, it cost me a game that I feel I clearly had in the bag.